Welcome back to Legacy and Lattes, everyone. I'm Portia, and as always, I am joined by the ever sparkling Charlene.
Thanks, Portia. Hello, listeners. Sparkling, huh? Must be all the New Year's glitter that I haven't managed to
Yeah.
wash off yet.
Yes. Today, we're diving into our New Year's resolutions, 2024 goals, and our hilarious attempts to stick to them.
Oh, you mean like your resolutions to buy those Lego books that you've never read?
Girl, I am guilty as charged, but let me tell you, they make great Zoom background decor when I'm on court.
Hey, that part. Well, we can kick things off with our resolutions. I guess mine to kind of summarize is I have a big move coming up in Tucson in March. So I kind of want to get things geared and straightened up to make sure that that move is swift and ready to go. What about you?
Yeah. One of my resolutions is to finally start that fitness routine. And by
Mm,
start, I do mean moving past, just wearing my gym clothes around the house because that is basically my go-to. I've got my yoga shorts on right now. But but actually sticking to some kind of fitness routine. I've recently gotten into pickleball and I am
mm,
obsessed. I'm obsessed with pickleball.
right.
So I want to try and do that a little bit more, and that's one of my big New Year's resolutions for this year.
That's cool. So is it similar to tennis? Like how does pickleball like is it did you used to play tennis, right?
I did, yeah. I used to play
Yeah.
tennis. So, little fun fact, right? I am a three-time women's singles champion for Baltimore City. I
Oh,
still hold a record in Baltimore City for tennis. Um, and I was like, I'm never playing pickleball, right? I was like, this
right.
is like geriatric tennis. All I ever saw was like old people out there playing. And I was like, there's no way. Like, this is trash. It's got a
Yeah.
wiffle ball, it's got a little paddle. I want nothing to do with this sport. Absolutely not.
Mm,
And I was like, it's not even a sport. Like, what is it? It's fake. And then my mom convinced me to play with them one day. They needed a fourth and they were like, just
mm,
come, it'll be really fun. Um, and I was hooked. It was like the very first time. It's hard. It's
mhm.
really fast paced. You get a lot of like net balls. I still don't play the way that people play pickleball, right? Like I
You
still
play
play
like more
very
tennis, like the
I
tennis
yeah,
version
I
of
100%,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
throws people off, which I think is really funny because like, the whole game is, like, get to the net and be really fast and dink back and
Mhm.
forth and do make all these crazy shots. People lose eyes, like, things happen in pickleball. But I like the baseline play, right? So, like, I'm
Yeah.
at the baseline hitting crazy shots, and it messes people up, and I love it, I love it. So, this year, I'm gonna get more consistent and
Yeah.
intentional with pickleball. I also joined a gym. At the end of last year, I was
Hey.
like, "I'm not even gonna worry about like, New Year's, new me. I'm just gonna start today." I was like, "I'm not waiting
Right.
for January for a reset. I'm just gonna start today." So I got a gym membership and I got a trainer, and I did it for about a month, and, once you do a month, you're in, you've created a habit. And
Yep.
then my trainer quit the gym.
She said deuces.
She was like, "I'm done. I've been at this gym for a really long time." She was like, "Good luck
Ugh.
with your goals, girl. I'm
Yeah.
happy for you." But I still don't have a new trainer. They still haven't, like, assigned me a new trainer.
Oh,
So,
geez.
I just spent the last month not going to the gym. So, now new year, new me, gotta get back into the
Exactly,
swing of
and
things, which I'm
stick
like,
to that.
yeah,
I think
and
that's
stick
what
to it.
it happens a lot when people create New Year's resolutions, and you obviously that wasn't your fault, but having a trainer or someone it's like having an accountability partner, right? And your trainer is that accountability partner. Like I know when I get
100.
back in the gym, I if I don't have someone telling me like I'm here, you need to be here, then you kind of take away you don't go to the gym anymore. So I completely but that's cool. Pickleball. I've always wanted to try it out. All
Do
the new
it.
rackets that you see in like the sporting
Do
goods
it.
places and that's sick.
And part of the commitment, right, for me to
Yeah.
myself is that meant I had to go buy new stuff. So I
Yeah.
went out and got a nice paddle, not the one I'd been using from like my kids' Target set, like your first pickleball. Like I'd been like showing up at the court at the racket club with my son's my first pickleball paddle. People were looking at me like, "Do you play pickleball? Like, are you a pickleball player?" So I went and got myself a nice new paddle, and I was still using my tennis backpack from when I was in high school. And it's like ripped, it's like it's got like holes in it, but I've had it for so long, and it was a part of part of me in this athletic journey that I
Mhm.
just kept using it. And finally I was like, okay, I can't show up to the the pickleball court and be like, I'm going to be serious about this with a ripped up backpack. So I finally got a new bag. I had to go out and get
Mm.
stuff. I'm
Stuff.
about to go get some cute little pickleball outfits and like be ready. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it. The only way for me to be ready is like I gotta have all the gear. I gotta
Yeah.
look the part,
I
right?
feel that. Heard. 100%. And it gets you
Heard.
excited. And the more like once you start getting really
Mhm.
involved in it, you get new rackets and stuff and new outfits and it becomes a
Mhm.
whole I seen actually in Tampa, that's where I'm from, everyone, where I reside. They are now like creating pickleballs everywhere. Even Central
Mhm.
Park, New York, they just installed like 16 pickleballs. Pickleball and
It
people
is the
love it.
fastest growing sport like in the world is
Wow.
pickleball. And I gotta tell you, like I was not interested, as a former tennis player, and I've talked to a bunch of people who used to play tennis that are like, absolutely not, I would never try it. And I find myself being that pickleball obsessed person that's like, you have to try it. Like you have no idea how much you're gonna love it until you do it.
Mm,
And then I realized, oh, this is what everyone used to say to me. And I was
mm.
like, hard
Wow.
pass, no.
Yeah,
Um, the only way to really know that you're gonna love it is you just have to go out there and try it. And the
exactly.
thing I like about pickleball so much is the community. You can
Mm,
go to
mm,
courts and you can play with anyone. So for tennis, like it's really hard for me to play tennis now because I have to find someone whose time and their schedule works out at the same time as mine, who's
exactly.
available, who actually knows how to play
Yep.
tennis. So like we are on a similar skill level. And it's hard. It's hard
Yeah.
to be like, "Hey, I can play at 9 a.m. Can you?" "No, I can play at 11." "No, I can't do that." And you end up going weeks without ever playing. So, I love that for pickleball, it's like you just show up. You're like, "Here's a
Yeah.
social, just show up at the park at 9 a.m. You know there's gonna be other players there. You may not know them, but you will when you leave."
Mm.
And now we have, like, a whole WhatsApp chat. It's called the Pickleball
Isn't
Peeps,
it
and we can, like,
great?
schedule courts. Yeah, it's great. It's a whole
That's
new
like
community of
that
people.
sense of community. So when I first moved to Tampa, I played volleyball and I knew absolutely no one. And I got on Meetup
Mhm.
and that's all of my friends are from Meetup. And to kind of
I love
transition, you spoke about your resolution in regards to, getting your workout routine. I have a
getting
big
fit.
move. I have a big move coming up in
Yeah.
2024. So we are moving to Tucson. My boyfriend and I, he's in the military, and one of our things, like our needs, and I said, I need a sense of community, like wherever we
Yeah.
go, because you can't be dependent on your partner or your job and like you have to find your community. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to do when I get to Tucson again is get on Meetup, find volleyball people, and those were my first friends in Tampa. So I
I
think that's
love
like
that.
one of my resolutions and getting
And
more involved.
pickleball.
And
Try
pickleball, I'm excited.
pickleball.
I'm gonna I'm
It's
gonna
such a
try
fun
out
commu I mean,
pickleball.
I know, now I'm gonna be that person who's like, "Pickleball, pickleball, pickleball," but,
You
I
know
might
what's
hear it a
so
lot
funny is
today.
like I am not good at sports that require an extension of my body. So that the pickleball racket is an extension
So
of
so
my body.
golf, tennis, like,
Nope. None of that.
nope?
Nope.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
good at softball, but I would literally get yelled at for throwing the bat afterward. So I was like, let me just stick to sports where I just hit the ball myself and not require an extension. It's an art form,
That's
and you know
hilarious.
this.
Yeah.
Baltimore champion, like you know this. You really have to be like in tune with and then hitting the ball and so I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, it's a thing. I'm excited. The 2024 is really coming off of years of the pandemic and being really stationary, right?
Mm,
I know we talked a bit about the pandemic last time, but
yep.
in 2020, everything stopped, and for the
Mhm.
last several years, the gym didn't feel like a safe place for me. I know like a lot of people were
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna go to the gym because like I have to work out, I have to do stuff. Um, I bought a Peloton in the middle of the pandemic. I was
Ooh,
doing
I'm
that a
jealous.
lot. And, we moved back from Maryland to California, and I hadn't really got on my Peloton, and then it was in my office, and then my sister ended up moving in with me due to life circumstances, and so, the Peloton went outside, and now it's outside, and it's covered, and I just, like, I haven't used it, right? And so what I
Yeah.
realized is, like, I was putting all of these other things before my own health. So 2024
Mm,
is is a year of sort of, like, putting me first, and part of that is, like, the
mm,
health journey, right? It's
yes.
also the year that I turned 40. So I'm like,
Oh!
I know, and I'm feeling some kind of way about this,
For the
but
listeners that are listening, she does not look a day over 30, okay? That can't see
black
her.
don't crack, Charlene. I thought you knew this. Black don't crack. Okay, I'm
That part.
fortunate. Is the melanin in me. But it's one of those things where people keep talking about 40, and they're like, oh, 40, it's this big milestone, it's this big transitional time. And in our society, often women are thought of as sort of like cast aside or ancient at 40, right? Like our general
Mm-mm.
society.
No.
I don't feel that. I feel more empowered now
Mm,
going into 40 than
beautiful.
before. Um, I've sort of like lost the weight of everybody else's expectations, and now
Mm,
it's like
mm,
being able to lose this idea of like, what is a perfect mom, what is a perfect daughter, what is a perfect business person, like what are these expectations of
yep.
who I'm supposed to be, and just reclaiming who I want to be
Who
and
you
how I
are.
want to
Yeah.
live these stages of my life. Because
That's
at the end of the
beautiful.
day, we come in alone and we die alone, right? Like that's it. Everything that happens in the middle is community building. It's all of these other things that add color. But at the end, like you and in the work that we do in legacy planning, right? I talk to a
Mm,
lot of people who are at the end, and the thing that they're always talking about is who they loved, and the regrets they bring up are the things that they didn't do because other people's
mm,
perception, right?
mm,
Sometimes it's people they didn't love staying with them, or not going for the person that they love because of expectations or
right.
concern about being, kicked out of the community, and really that fear of living their most authentic lives.
Wow.
And to keep seeing that over and over again in this work, I'm like, I want to live authentically and do the things that I wanna do now, and not worry so much about what other people's perceptions are. So, I say the gym, right? But
Mm,
really, as I pare down on what that really means, it's making the time and the space to care for me.
it's the year of
And what
you.
it's the year of me. Yeah,
2024, the year of Portia.
2024. So yeah, that's my 2024 resolution. And I hear you kind of saying that too, right? Making sure that you are
Mm,
uh creating your community, that you
yep.
you even found that in you. Like, yeah, I'm happy to move. We can uproot, we can build our life anywhere. But
Yep.
building our life is about me also having separate space.
Correct.
But that's you
1000%.
honoring you already, right? That's
Yeah.
the generational divide. Your generation was like, nope, we live authentically in who we are. Like that's how you guys came up. It's interesting.
Yep.
I love that. Are you
So
excited about this move to Tucson?
I am. I'm really excited because at the end of the day, I found my partner and the person that I want to be with, and the support that we have between each other. That, yes, obviously, like our partnership is really important, but us as individuals, what are our goals and aspirations and our purpose? And I don't want to get spiritual in that sense, but I think walking and
Why
finding
not?
purpose,
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. And I was fortunate that I had people around me that kind of nurture that earlier than later,
Mm,
right? That and again, we talked about COVID last time, that it served as a catalyst for a lot of people to kind of have that enlightenment to say, okay,
yeah.
what is true to me? What is something that I want to wake up and do every single morning and feel empowered to do so? And then checking in with ourselves. A lot of people January, right? They're like, new year, new me. And it's like checking in more frequently. Like, okay, I'm in this job. Is it really suiting what my career, goals and ambitions are? And so
Mhm.
I had that conversation with my partner, my boyfriend the other day. Like, we're gearing up for this move. Is that something that's going to
Mm,
help me in my career? What do I see for myself? And does that
yeah.
align? And it has, and in a crazy way. I've grown up. I'm now about to be, and my birthday is in January too, so I'm about to be 27. Yeah, Capricorn
Woo!
baby right here. But
Turn up,
it's
turn up.
just it's beautiful. And we as women, that we are now finally getting to say, like, who do I want to be? I can be a mom, I can be a business owner, I can be a travel, anything. Like, the world is our oyster, and to walk in that
Yeah.
purpose, it's truly beautiful. And to learn from others, to hear from you, and knowing that as you get older, like, you still find new hobbies and new passions in life. Like, there's so
I mean,
much.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're on a slow march to the grave. Like, what is happening?
It's so funny. Have you heard, and side note, there's on TikTok, these people are going on that around the world cruise, that it's like
Wait, wait,
nine
9
months
months,
on
right?
a
Have
cruise
you
ship.
seen them? So it's Brandy and Shannon. Do you follow
Yes.
them?
I was literally
So,
watching their videos this morning.
Charlene, so fun fact, I know them. I know
No,
them
you
personally.
don't.
I
No, you
do. Yeah,
don't.
I know them.
That's
So
hilarious.
Shannon used to date one of my best friends, and actually I guess still dates one of my best friends growing up.
Ah!
Uh, the two of them were dating, and so ended up going to Dubai, and Brandy was living in Dubai. She was teaching there, and my friend who I was going to see in Dubai, who's a private pilot, and they
Yep.
got called away. And I was like, oh man, I'm randomly like in Dubai by myself. Anyone know anybody in Dubai that I can connect with? And my friend who's the pilot and also Shannon were like, hey, you should go meet Brandy. So Brandy and I connected in
No way.
living. This was like 2014. And so I went and stayed with her in Al Ain. We kicked it so tough. Like I went back to Dubai again, and now she lives in LA. Like we've been kicking it tough since like 2014. And all through the pandemic, she and Shannon had like these event classes on Zoom. So they would like do
Mm.
like how to make how to like make custom cocktails and like all this stuff. And
Oh
so
my
yeah,
gosh.
we've been in it. And yeah, we've been in it tough. And so now they're doing this whole thing on TikTok and it's amazing. And I'm so excited for them. They're with their parents and they're taking
Yeah.
a whole 9 month cruise around the world and just like when else? When else
Yep,
will we get this time to do these
exactly.
experiences together? And we're gonna do it now. And it's really beautiful
It
to see
is
them.
1,000. That is literally who I was watching this morning. That's funny because she's rooming with her sister, and she was doing the entire,
Yeah.
like, discussion, and she's trying to connect with people around the world. Another unfortunate scenario when they went on, did you see the TikTok that they were asking, like, are you really a guest? Are you independently wealthy? Like, and she was, yeah, when she first got on the cruise ship, and they were asked, and it's just, women, we work our butts off, we make the money, we allow ourselves these beautiful things in life, and still, like, can you imagine going
And
on
then we
that
get
boat and being
questioned.
told, like,
And then
what?
we get questioned. Yeah. And it's like the question is, do you belong? And
Mm,
really it's somebody else's perception of you don't. You don't
right.
fit the narrative of what I believe someone should be able to do here.
Mm,
You're not supposed to be able to do that because of the way you look or all of these different things. And I love that they're sharing that story and
I
those
agree.
experiences
Yep.
because it opens people's eyes. It's
Yep.
one of the things I love so much about social media is that we get to be our own storytellers, right?
Yes.
We get to tell our own experiences. It has nothing to do with someone else's perception. Now, y'all, all of you aren't going to like this podcast. If you're this
Mm.
far in, you probably like us, right? You think we're funny. We're a funny little bunch. But the reality is like we get to tell our own narrative and our own stories. And
Yep.
as we move through this podcast, we get to bring in guests that get to tell their stories and their narrative and whatever their truth is and to
Yep.
showcase the beauty in that truth, right? Whatever it is, it could be in line with what the sort of social norm is or not. But the reality is, we have our truths and we deserve a space. And I love that they're
It-
taking that space to do it.
I
You know
love it.
what? We should check in with them. We should call them
Yeah.
and check in with them on one of these upcoming episodes. I think we should wait till they're like a couple months into this trip and
Oh,
see how
heck
they're
yeah.
still liking it.
They're like, "Get me off the ship." I wonder, we
They're like,
need to ask. I have
"I
so
can't
many
do it
questions.
anymore."
If we could check in, I'll be like, "Do they allow you, if you've had enough, to like, I just need to get
To
off
get
the ship?"
off? I think at any point you can probably get off. I mean, you paid, so you're done. But, like, if you're, like, at the port in the Bahamas and you just don't get back on the ship, I'm fairly certain you could get on a flight and go home.
Yeah, go home. That makes sense. I mean, you've already paid. It's really
Yeah, they're not gonna
it's
give you your money back.
it's
They just might
interesting.
bump someone up to an upgraded cabin.
And I guess they're, like, creating little small governments now in the boat, like, they're having town hall meetings. That's a
What?
whole 'nother, we need a if we can find a way to get them on and talk to them,
Oh,
I
yeah, we can
so
totally
many
get okay, I
so
won't make
many
any promises, audience, but we will absolutely call them and ask them if they wanna come onto the podcast.
Even if we just
Be
did
like,
like a check-in, because I am really
"Yeah,
interested to learn like like they, if they are having town hall meetings, it's 1,000 people. So the cruise ship holds 2,000, but only 1,000 people are on this cruise. And some people are going to be on for the 9 month duration, and some just choose like, oh, I'm only going to do South America, or I'm only going to do
yeah."
Europe or Asia, so they get to. But I think your friend's doing the entire
No, they're doing
nine
the whole thing.
months.
They're doing the whole thing. Yeah, it is an intense journey. I'm excited for them. They had all these going away parties because like we're going on this adventure. I was like, oh Lord, how one day maybe it would be
Yeah.
cool to be able to just like do an around the world cruise. And it's like it really isn't as expensive as
Oh, it's
I thought it
not.
would be.
Right,
It's not because,
right.
like, all of your accommodations are built into the I mean,
Yep,
it's just not that expensive, so it's pretty interesting. I'm not opposed to that at all. I would totally do that.
I'd freak out.
But okay, so we are still on New Year, new me, right? New year, new
Yes.
us, new journey. And maybe we're gonna need to add round the world cruise on the on this list somewhere. That might be the long-term goal, right?
Yep.
Um, although I don't know how we do that unless I then also commit to homeschooling my son. So maybe you guys should do this journey before you become parents. Um,
It's gonna be he'll be
right?
bargaining
You
with the
notice none of them
captain.
had little kids. I did but I do want to talk about sort of some of the other 2024 goals that we have because I know we've talked a bit about our personal goals, but we also have some professional goals that we are
Mm,
talking about.
mm.
I know that we are looking into expanding our community reach program at our firm. I know that we're looking at getting in more education for people. And
Yes.
one of the things that I am doing this, or I did this holiday season, was I rented out my house.
Wow.
Right? Like, I'm one of those people who I'm like, if it's an asset, it should be an asset. It should make money for you. It should generate income. If we're gonna be with our family for the holidays, let's rent the house. Why leave it sitting empty? And so lots of people think I'm crazy. I think that's a generational divide as
Mm,
well. Maybe not because 'cause you're shaking your head. You
I
think it's
don't think
crazy too?
so. I don't think it's crazy. I think, that's it's shifting, right? Like our days and what we decide to do, it's completely shifting. I don't think it's crazy. I think maybe your parents or people older than us, they're like, you're just gonna leave your house for the holidays. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think it's
100%.
crazy.
It's interesting, right? But my parents, they get it because 'cause I've done it now a few times, right? And they
Yep.
see the benefit to it, and I'm like, "Listen, it's gonna be empty anyway because we're not
Mhm.
gonna be there. So, if it's gonna be empty anyway,
Right.
what of our stuff do I actually need that's so important, right? So I put it away or I lock it up or do anything like that, and I have spaces for to be able to do that. But everything else is just stuff. And so like when I talk about like releasing the weight of things, like I've been releasing the weight of stuff.
Mm,
Stuff. Couch can be replaced,
yep.
right? A couch can be replaced, a TV nowadays every 2 years is old, right? With the advancements in technology, the TVs on the wall need to be upgraded anyway at certain points in time. Beds are beds, you get mattress covers, you do things, you can protect your stuff, and I have like a whole different set of sheets and towels and like all these things that I use for when guests come versus for myself personally. And so when it comes to this idea of stuff, it's like if they break something, there's insurance, it'll get
Right.
fixed.
Yep.
my house isn't sitting empty. Someone isn't going to come and, break in and steal whatever, right? And somebody gets a really cool vacation that's cheaper
Mhm.
than probably their hotel. And
Exactly.
my entire Christmas vacation is paid for.
Mm.
Flights, gifts, everything is covered by just renting my house, and I get to enjoy spending this time with my family, right? Without it costing anything.
You have the entrepreneurial mindset.
I
Where
know.
1,000%.
Like
That's
everything.
let me make my money work for me. Exactly. Like
Yeah,
everything that you're
100%.
saying. Like you're not tapping into your savings to purchase Christmas gifts like someone else, and you are benefiting someone else. Like, can you imagine? Let's say this person had an apartment, but they want, oh, for the holidays, I want to bring all my family together. Like you were able to provide that for them. And that's
Yeah.
it's a win-win. It's truly is.
It's a win-win, right?
It
And the family
1,000.
that came in, their daughter is in school at Caltech, right? So she's at
Mhm.
this very prestigious school, which is right down the street, and they wanted to all be together. They'd never been to Pasadena,
Mhm.
and so they came here to do Christmas, but obviously their daughter lives in an apartment, right by campus,
Exactly.
so she couldn't do it. They didn't wanna be in a hotel as much as you so they wanted something with a Christmas vibe that could feel
Mhm.
like family and still be able to explore where their daughter's going to school, and now they got to do that.
Exactly.
And, and they're having a great time. I check in on them just to make sure, they're good, and we set up Christmas decorations for them so it felt like home,
Oh.
and they love it, right? And that's really where the power of the inherited home course came from, right? So
Mhm.
through Black Trust Fund Kids, as you know, Charlene, we are launching this Power of the Inherited Home course. And it's really to help teach people about how to use and leverage the assets that they have to
Mm.
create more money opportunities, right?
Yes.
Whether you have a home that your kids are going to inherit and you're trying to figure out, well, what do I teach and instill in them today so that when it comes time for them to be able to leverage or hold this asset, they know what to do with it, right? They don't make
1,000%.
bad
Yes.
decisions.
Yep.
Or you're already in that position where you've inherited a home and you're trying to figure out either with siblings or family, what do we do with this besides
Exactly.
just sell it?
Yep.
Because we have a housing crisis right now, right? Like we have a housing crisis. There are more people in the market than there are available homes, and the costs have put most Americans put homeownership out of reach for them. And so if we are not learning tools to protect the homes that we already have, we are
Mm.
only going to continue to see economic loss, particularly in Black and Brown communities. And
Exactly.
so when I think about this story, I'm also showing my son, right, at 6 years old. Yeah, it might be uncomfortable. How do you make these things work for you in real time? What
Exactly.
does that look like? How can you turn a garage into an ADU and live for free? How can you leverage this property to go buy more properties? I take him with me everywhere because so I can show him in real time how this works. And this course that we're doing is how do we show the world? How do we get this information out of these little enclaves of communities that have the resources into the
Mm.
hands of everyone so that we can democratize, if you will, wealth building and
Exactly.
really simple wealth building tools, not not go invest in Vanguard or put your money in a 401k that you may never see. Um, but true day to day tools for changing economic circumstances.
And
So,
keeping
that
and
is 2024 too. That's our goal.
yeah.
I wanna educate 10,000 people on how to do this. That's my goal. I'm setting that
And to
now.
even give you guys another real life situation, I have my family, we have an apartment even in another country. I'm Panamanian, we have an apartment there. And the sentimental value behind homes too. Like, we talk about a lot that grandpa and grandma, they were able to purchase this and not have a mortgage on the property and they want to hand it down and give it to the next person. And obviously there's a lot of greed out there that people, oh, well, we want to buy it right away, and it's like,
Right?
okay, but think of the sentimental value. I know my family has an apartment that they've thought about, oh, well, we'll sell it, we're not really there. And it's like, but think of how many of us were babies there, or how our
Yeah.
grandpa, worked how many jobs to purchase this property, and that's something
That's
that
the legacy.
It's a legacy, exactly,
That's the legacy.
1000%. Like,
Yeah.
I know when I have kids, I wanna take them back there and be like, I was a little tyke running around here too," and it's that
Yeah.
sentiment, and it's the ability to say that our grandparents and the people before us, busted their butts to be able to purchase property. How we talked about last time that women couldn't even get credit until the
Right.
1900s and things, so that's something that the power of the
1970s.
the
1970s.
1970s. That's another thing that within the power of the inherited home, I know we're going to discuss is yes, the money side and building that, but also together as a community, like we need to be have those portfolios and say we built this, like we went to work,
Yeah.
we put our money back into our communities, like
Yeah.
it's growth, it's wealth and legacy and building that legacy, and that's I'm gonna make my family go on the course. I'm like, you guys are trying to sell this apartment. This is not what we need
Right.
to be doing, like so
But
it's
what it's
truly
exactly what you said, Charlene, right? It's legacy. But the
mhm,
thing that I think is so important, right, is not so much removing the emotion, right? But changing that emotion, right?
mhm,
The emotion is grandma and grandpa worked super duper hard to create this. What did they sacrifice? What did they give? What did they do to make that, right? And
exactly.
honoring that legacy of it produced this thing. The problem is most people don't know what to do with that thing, and they didn't have to
Mhm.
start it themselves, and so because they didn't have to do the labor to get it, they don't value it as much, right?
That part.
Sometimes they'll
Yep.
say, "Oh, it's home," so they only have that emotional attachment, but they don't understand the economic value to what someone else sacrificed for them. And generally, that's because if you're growing up in the home, all you're seeing that home do is be a liability
Yep.
because your parents have to work to sacrifice to pay for it. And now it becomes this mental idea of well, this is going to cost money. It's too much
Mm.
of a burden, right?
Mm.
It's too much of a burden. But if we sell it, we can get cash in hand, and cash feels like it's king because that's the narrative. But what
Yep.
people don't understand is that that narrative has been sold to people to sell their assets to people who understand that cash ain't it and that assets are truly where the value lies, right? Land, the
Yes.
things we can't make more of. In 2020, the government printed a whole bunch of new money. That cash got devalued like nobody's business to the point where I'm like, how do I get some chickens? Because eggs cost $10. Money is not it. The
Yes.
value is in the chicken, right?
That's
Not buying the
yep.
eggs from the grocery store because that is a cost you can't control. The
Mhm.
value is in the chicken because if you own the
Mhm.
chicken, you can sell the eggs to the people who don't have chickens who
Yep.
will pay you $10, $12, $14 because they want the eggs,
Exactly.
right? When you have the apartment, you have the chicken.
Yep.
You have a place that you can rent to somebody who needs housing because everybody still needs housing. And
Mhm.
as costs for housing continue to go up, they're going to pay an increased rent, but it doesn't cost you any more to keep the property because you own it, because you already own the chicken. So, I mean, that's the part that people
What
don't
a
realize
what a
when
great analogy. That was what came first, the chicken or the egg? It was the chicken. There's the answer.
At this point, right? Does it matter? Do you own the chicken? Is all
Yep.
that matters, right? It does, it's like I can be like, I have an egg, but guess what? That egg will expire. That
Yep.
egg is only good for a certain period of time. And then it goes bad and it's worthless, right? There isn't really a resale market for the egg because if you bought it at grocery store price, you can't go and resell it for more. So buying the egg does nothing for you. Owning the chicken, you can feed your whole community, right?
Mhm.
You can feed your family because you can also breed more chickens, right? You can leverage an apartment, put a new mortgage on it, and go get another apartment. And now you have two. So now you got two chickens, right? You can do that again. And now you've got four. You could do that again. And now you've got 8, 10, 12, 15, whatever it is that you're looking to do. You can turn that one piece of real estate into multiple.
Mm.
And economic freedom, people always get this confused. Economic freedom is not having billions of dollars, right?
Mm.
Like, yes, that's great. But there are a lot of people who are broke millionaires. They make a
Yep.
ton of money and they spend a ton of money.
Yep.
They do not have economic freedom, right?
Mhm.
But economic freedom is having enough assets to cover your liabilities. And
Correct.
it's painful in the process, right? It's painful in the middle when you're the person who's trying to build that. But when you've inherited a property, you've inherited a gold mine. All you have to do is be able to leverage it because you didn't have to find the money to get it. You didn't
Mm.
have to qualify for the credit. You didn't have to have the income. You didn't have to have the down payment. But someone has handed you a gold mine. And if you properly use that gold mine, that can catapult you for the rest of your life. And so that's the piece.
It's the
And
mindset.
it's a
It's
mindset shift. It
mindset.
really is. It's a
Mhm.
mindset shift. So it's having the tools, but also having the mindset to understand what you're trying to achieve. And so for 2024, I'm super excited that we're launching this course. I'm super excited that the book is coming out. All these things that we've been working towards in 2023. So when we're talking about new, new year, new us, this is one of the big things that I'm really excited about. And my
Mm.
goal this year is to educate 10,000 families on the power of the inherited home, whether that be through our
Mm.
book or through our course, but really helping people make this mindset shift, especially as we're on this. I don't even know. Do you know that we are on a silver tsunami? What's this called? This Have you heard that? Have you heard
I've
that term?
heard it. I'm not sure if I
Okay.
completely understand the term silver tsunami. If it's the
What do you think
boomers
it
that
means?
are, yeah, the baby boomers that are leaving, right? They're are they hitting retirement? Are they passing away? Can you explain it a little bit more? I've heard a little
I
bit.
can explain it a little bit more. But I mean, essentially the silver tsunami, right? Is the baby boomers. It's their population and the amount of people in that generation is large. And they're all hitting basically that age. They're all going to be over the age of 65 in a few years. And that silver tsunami is that they're in those golden years. 63% of people over the age of 65 need some form of long-term care before they pass away. So when we start to see the baby boomers all over the age of 65, the entire generation, that's that tsunami because it's going to crash our healthcare system. There are
Wow.
not enough available long-term care homes for the people that need care, which is driving the costs up significantly. The
Mm.
average amount of care in a single room in a nursing home is about $119,000 a year after taxes. So it's more than $9,000 a month for a single room in a nursing home. This is not skilled nursing, right? That is
But
even higher. But we're talking about almost $10,000 a month in after tax dollars. And the average amount of care that people needs is about 2.5 years. So you're starting to see this economic taking as a result of this tsunami
Mm.
wave because the baby boomers also hold the majority of the wealth in this country because they've
Mhm.
seen most growth on their assets, right?
Yep.
And so this silver tsunami is also what we're talking about when we're thinking about the economic crash of it all.
Right.
Because if families don't have estate plans, if families don't have a plan for how to deal with these assets and make them make money, so they get into things like reverse mortgages and other things,
Mhm.
they start to see this huge taking of these assets and redistributing them away from their families and into the hands of the government, right?
Right.
Through Medicaid health systems or through attorneys and all these other places that isn't their families, all because there's a lack of planning. And so right
Mm.
now is the golden sort of moment where people need to come in and make that transitional shift.
Right.
So when we're talking about the silver
The
tsunami,
silver.
if yeah, that we're really talking about a transition of power and wealth and a complete restructuring of what our country is going to look like from an economic standpoint.
So for
So,
me, so I have grandparents that I assume are part of, I don't know the age group specifically, but I know they're
so it's
retired.
up to the people who are about 63 years old. So it's like
Okay.
most of the people who
So
are
the
alive to about 63.
reason, so how does that affect my generation? Or how can we help, alleviate that? Me, I'm in the estate planning, with you, and I'm
Yeah,
learning more and more, resources and tools and tricks, and even culturally speaking. Like, I'm gonna
yeah,
tell you, the day I put my mom in a nursing home is the day she's like, I used to change your diapers and you're gonna put
right.
me. So then you have that cultural,
Yeah,
like I've talked to my boyfriend about, in the future, our parents, like I would want my mom to move in when I start having children. So it's really different, right?
yeah.
But I do have
You don't want her to move in. You don't want her to
grandparents.
move in.
You said
Listen.
put in the guest house in the back.
Right, put in the ADU. But there's also no, but I mean, but again, this is a mindset shift, right? Because
Mhm.
yes, you could have her move in, you can be in a multi-generational household, which is fine, but that is going to change the dynamic of your relationship with your partner,
Mhm.
right? It'll be different. I'm sorry, there's no kitchen sex if your mom's in the other room and she's gonna walk in. There's no spontaneous like, it just isn't gonna happen. And so the reality is like, that changes the whole dynamic of
Yep.
your relationship with your partner, and that not isn't necessarily healthy for you guys either. There is something called a family opportunity loan. A lot of
Mm.
people don't know about these kinds of things. And essentially, it's if you, right, want your parents to come live close to you because they're aging and other things, you can actually buy that property for them at a 5% down payment. And they don't have to qualify. They can live there and you can buy that property for them at 5% as if you were buying it for yourself, even though you're buying it
Mm.
for your parents. And
So
so
it's a
if you
family interesting.
qualify, you can actually buy and acquire new assets. And if they had the funds to pay for a nursing home or something like that, you have this opportunity to then apply those funds as renters to you, to your property to help qualify for it. And now they have a place that's nearby. You may also be able to get renovation loans for that if you wanted to convert like a garage or build an ADU on a piece
Right.
of. And there's other opportunities to be able to go out and buy up other houses to provide services. So if there's other people similar to your parents, say your boyfriend's parents and
Gonna
your
build
parents,
your own living
you can build your
you
own
run
uh,
your own.
you can build your own essentially family compound that provides services that allows people to age in place. And it's
Wouldn't it
actually
be
a
significant
return.
yeah, it'd be significantly cheaper too, wouldn't it? If you're
It would
saying
be much easier to share in
90,000.
the resources collaboratively
Mm,
while building assets for the future generations. Because once you own it,
yeah,
right? Again, it's like having the chicken. Once you have the chicken, you can continue to provide the eggs to people. When your parents no longer need that home, but somebody else needs care, you have a system built in. You could
nice.
move in cousins, aunts. Your
Yep.
kids can move you in there down the road, right? I mean, it's not ideal, but there are opportunities to be able to then continue to build. But people don't know what's available,
They
what's
don't.
possibility for them, and so they make the best decision with the information they have. And generally, that's not necessarily going to be the best decision for their economic futures or
Exactly.
their relationships,
Or their
right?
relation and that's the biggest, like, culturally speaking, like, I always go back, I can't put my parents in a nursing home or assisted living facility, and you see the treatment of, some of these places, and it's interesting because people don't know. Like, can you imagine if we were able to tell people, well, there's another option that you keep your
Yeah,
family members close, that a lot of these family members that put their people in the nursing homes, like they spend Christmases by themselves because the family's so far away, they had to find an empty bed for them, and that bed might be
right,
in another state. And so, if
right.
we're able to empower these people and give them information and knowledge and say, you have another opportunity and an
Yeah,
opportunity that you're able to build an asset,
yeah,
so
100%.
that's huge. I'm like, dang, I'm
Huge.
learning
But I mean,
everything.
but this is the point. It's actually a return, right? Because
Mm,
these single generational households that we have been promoting as the American dream, right, for generations, wasn't the case. Multi-generational households all across Europe, all across South America was
yeah.
the norm. Pooling of resources in childcare, in economic responsibility, in elder care, in the sharing of stories, in the passing of legacy, that all happened in multi-generational households. It was
Hmm.
only here really that we started to promote this narrative of like everybody in these separate spaces. And the people that suffered were the elderly
Hmm.
and women because the
Hmm.
sole responsibility generally landed on the shoulders of women to not
Yep.
only care for aging parents in separate spaces but
Hmm.
also to raise the children and maintain their own households and now add on work on top of that. And so it was this failing system and you start to see people more and more moving back to this, well, I can do those
Community.
things easier if the
Yep.
community is here, if the
Is built.
infrastructure is together. And so that then becomes this own mindset shift of transitioning the reality of we don't all live these separate lives. We live these really far more interconnected lives with
Mm.
space. But if you guys know down the road, you're like, we are going to have to raise our, not raise, but take care of our parents, or that's what we want
Yeah,
to do. And you're like, we're in Arizona, maybe Arizona is where we'll stay for a while. You may look at, well, where can I get a fourplex?
exactly.
Because until the time when your parents need to move in, you could make money off of it and get income because you're
Mm,
young now. You guys have good salaries, all of those things. You have an opportunity to buy assets. And
mhm,
even if that's rented to someone else because your parents can live fully autonomously right now, that added value
mhm,
helps to increase your net worth. So when it
mm,
comes time to you buying something near your parents, you've got all these other assets that you've built up
better
around
bill.
you
Yeah,
that supplement your income, right? So when it comes time to qualify, you can buy the thing that works really, really well. It's all about just, time and opportunity. And the time for
really.
everyone is now.
Mhm. That
New
part.
year, new year, the time is now.
The
If you're still
time
listening, you're
is
still jamming
now.
with us, I want to encourage each and every one of you to reframe your thinking
Mm,
around what New Year, New You looks like. For me personally, like I said, it is the year of sort of me putting me first, but also in that is the mindset shift of how do I help share what I know with others? Because that's
mm,
also what brings me such joy.
yep.
And so, taking this information, being able to share it out. What does New Year, New You look like for you? And if your goal is family, your goal is community, your goal is asset building, stay with us because that's
100.
where we're going. That's where we're going to be.
We're gonna be there, and on the other hand, like, I'm gonna be there every step of the journey, also learning things with you all. Like, I the ability to have these discussions. I know we always said these are like the big sis talks that I'm asking
Yeah.
questions for my personal self, and me going into, I'm gonna be in my 30s in a couple of years. Like, what are good things that I can put in place now? Like Portia mentioned earlier, that I can build those assets, that I can someday, maybe at 45, we all go on that around the world cruise, right? Because I've set these things in place. So yeah, I think this is great. These conversations that we're having and being honest and open, and knowing that we're going through a transition in life, and going back to that community that we keep talking about because it takes a
It's
village.
all about the community, Shar. It's
It
all about the
is.
community.
It
But as
is.
we wrap up, I want everyone to remember that no matter what your resolutions or goals are, the journey is what matters, right? It's
Yep.
about growth, it's about laughter, and most importantly, it's about us supporting each other because none of us can do it alone. So I would say,
Absolutely.
cheers, darling. Yeah.
Cheers to a year of unexpected adventures, learning curves, and lots of coffee.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited to share this year with all of you. And remember, PS, you got this, sis.
Until next time, this is Shar.
And Portia signing off. Keep building your legacy one laugh at a time.